Cable Bahamas has been and continues to be a positive shot in the arm for our summer camps. We look forward to it. Without Cable Bahamas, I don't know if we will succeed because we look forward to the funding and we are very appreciative, particularly the Cable Cares program. We are very appreciative to what they do.
We thank the Cable Cares Foundation, which would have given into this program, and it's going to pay dividends in the long run because each one of these children are affected.
Well, Cable Bahamas Foundation has helped us in a huge way. We are out there looking for all kinds of help, and I am so happy that the Cable Foundation didn't decline us based on the economy and what is going on today.
So they've been with us for a long time, and we look for them to be with us for many years to come.
A young man murdered on Mount Royal Avenue. It's the 6th murder in 4 days. A former police officer charged with child porn back in court today, plus 3 new queens crowned over the weekend. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Monique Toot and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, a 22-year-old man was shot and killed near a preschool and nursery on Mount Royal Avenue this morning. This latest killing caps off a violent weekend in which 5 people were shot dead, including a husband and wife on Grand Bahama. The murder count for the year now stands at 106. Police say 22-year-old Brian Francis was driving along Mount Royal Avenue around 8 this morning when the occupants of a silver Honda Inspire sprayed his car with bullets, shooting him multiple times. Francis reportedly sped off in an attempt to get away from his shooters, but crashed into a tree and fence on nearby Durham Street. That's where responding officers found his bullet-riddled gray Nissan Tiana.
Shortly after 8, police responded to the Mount Royal Avenue area to reports of gunshots being discharged. Upon arrival, they met an adult male suffering from gunshot injuries. EMS was summoned here to the scene and pronounced the male lifeless.
The airbag, driver's seat, and door of Francis's car were splattered with blood. The back window had been shot out, and the hood and windshield on the driver's side of the vehicle had multiple bullet holes. Police are now searching for the alleged killers, who reportedly escaped in a silver Honda.
We appeal to persons who would have any information regards with this latest homicide to come forward and provide that information for the police and help us to advance this investigation here this morning.
Roll would not comment on a motive, insisting authorities do not want to speculate. As police conducted preliminary investigations, Francis's grieving relatives consoled each other on the crime scene. One family member described him as a nice and loving person. This morning's murder comes on the heels of a violent weekend in which a husband and wife were murdered in their apartment on Grand Bahama, and 3 people were killed in separate shooting incidents on New Providence. Rose said police are following significant leads in those matters. Meantime, Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade took to Twitter on Saturday, tweeting, "We must stop these senseless killings. We can stop these senseless killings with stricter gun legislation. We must address this now." Popular radio talk show host Ortland Bodie, who was on the scene of this morning's murder, also expressed outrage over the level of gun violence in the country.
It is simply unacceptable. No government can control crime, but it must put in place the punishment and the systems to reduce it to the barest minimum. I am shocked here this morning. 22, 23-year-old boy gone with the wind. Massive police force, but it's too late. The man is dead. Intervention by society, intervention by the politicians, intervention by the church. We need a round-table discussion, and we need to stop playing possum. It is my pleasure to say that, and Mr. Bernard Nottage, the Honorable Minister, and Keith Bell, don't leave Keith Bell out. He needs to go too. But please, don't leave out the Prime Minister. The 3 of them will go, and I will send a chauffeur-driven stretch limousine to carry them home and to stop at Atlantis for dinner in the meantime.
From the courts, as the Donna Vasily trial continued today, a witness who took photographs of the wealthy widow at the Central Detective Unit told the court that Vasily had injuries on both of her hands. Kyle Joaquin has the details.
With her son leading the way and Ray-Ban shades on her face, Donna Vasily made her way back in the Supreme Court to stand trial for the murder of her husband, Australian podiatrist Philip Vasily. In court, Acting Director of Public Prosecution Garvin Gaskin called his next witness to the stand, Police Sergeant Esther Miller. Miller testified that on March 24th, the day in which the podiatrist was found face down in his Old Fort Bay home, she was called to the Central Detective Unit where two females were pointed out to her, one Caucasian and the other a dark female. She was then asked to take photographs of the females. The Caucasian woman, she said, identified herself as Donna Vasily. Miller said she was also given a white robe, a blue dress, and a beige tank top. She eventually enlarged the images and put them on discs for display. In court, she spoke of Image 1, which showed a facial view of the suspect, Image 2, which showed a side view, Image 3, which showed the suspect in a white robe, and Image 4, which showed a close-up of the suspect's hands. And at the top of the suspect's hands, she said, were injuries. However, during cross-examination, Vasily's attorney Muriel Ducille asked the witness to look closely at the photo. He pointed to what appeared to be 6 lines at the back of the right hand and similarly on the left. He suggested that they were actually laser burns Vasily received during treatment from her doctor. The treatment, he said, was for age. At one point during the proceedings, the acting DPP sought to have the witness go further with the evidence and explain. However, it was objected by Ducille, and Justice Stephen Isaacs agreed and barred the prosecutor from going any further. Gaskin asked why, to which the judge responded, "There is no trial." The matter continues before Acting Chief Justice Stephen Isaacs tomorrow morning at 11. Reporting from the Supreme Court for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Prosecutors are seeking to add another charge to the file of the former police officer charged with 1 count of child pornography back in January. Edmund Lewis Jr. was charged with producing child pornography between July 2014 and January 2015. The charges stem from several videos that were circulated online showing a man having sex with multiple females. In court today, prosecutor Darrell Taylor asked that Magistrate Darren Roll Davis adjourn the matter because the presiding magistrate was absent. She revealed the prosecution would also be seeking to have another charge added. Magistrate Davis adjourned the matter to November 19th at 10 a.m. Lewis is being represented by attorney Wayne Monroe. F&M Senator Carl Bethel hitting out at government for what he called its weakness and lack of vision when it comes to the fight against crime. Dana Smith reports.
We hear a lot of talk, we hear a lot of rhetoric, but at the end of the day, the truth is in this sad statistics. Serious violent crime and homicides are not decreasing.
Calling the nation's rising murder count a great tragedy, Bethel said although he doesn't blame the government for the nation's continued killings, he does have a problem with the Christie administration's response to it.
I don't blame the PLP for crime. I blame the PLP for the weakness and lack of vision of their responses to it. Their lack of any clearly articulated policies and procedures and practices that are going to ameliorate this problem.
Bethel said the Christie administration claimed it had the answers to the crime problem, but upon taking office, it's clear government has been a total failure on that front, and he slammed government for politicizing the issue in the lead-up to the 2012 general election.
Crime has become politicized, and we all know just how politicized it was in the last election by the PLP, posting up posters advertising the numbers of deaths and murders that they said occurred under the Free National Movement, and by the PLP firmly committing to the Bahamian people that they had the answer to this crime, that given an opportunity to implement Urban Renewal 2.0, they would solve the crime problem. Well, they have been total failures at that.
Bethel said crime is a social issue that's grabbing international attention.
I believe that the epidemic of murders, be they gang-related or domestic or or whatever description the authorities want to put on them, it's reached a point where it is a social crisis. I wouldn't say a national crisis, it's a social crisis in our country. And it is beginning to get the notice of the wider world, the attention of the wider world.
Bethel said what's needed is a unified, bipartisan response to crime, and the F&M would be more than happy to sit down with policymakers and have a frank discussion about what can be done to form a multifaceted and more effective response to crime. Reporting for NB12, I'm